How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. We have a massive change for Bitcoin. And I know I say that, things change a lot. That's true. We're seeing a change in the sentiment right now. We're seeing change in balance sheets as well from different companies. A new company adopting the Bitcoin standard. We have CPI coming in hot. We have interest rates continuing to stay high, and huge amounts of debt being paid by the U.S. government. I think it's getting people to reconsider crypto. We also have change in taxes with crypto as well, and some news on the ETF front. We also have a massive partnership from Ondo, which I don't talk about Ondo too much, but got to pay attention to it. And XRP is looking pretty interesting. The chart is looking interesting. We have a lot to get into. If you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on the bell notification underneath the video so you can see future videos just like this one. There's a link to our Patreon underneath the video. We're working on some very exciting things, like things I have not seen any other Patreon do yet. Some integrations with AI that's going to make your life a lot easier if you're part of the Patreon. We're just starting to talk about it now with the person that's going to create this for us. If you want to check this out, check out the Patreon underneath the video. I'm not sure when we're going to get those AI features. We still have not confirmed it either, but it's looking really promising, really interesting. And of course, we have exclusive videos. I kind of tell you how I'm trading as well. Also, there is a link underneath the video to WEEX. WEEX is a great place to trade. And right now, there's a My Financial Friend welcome bonus with the link underneath the video. You don't have to KYC, but if you do, if you add your recovery phone and email, you get 100 USDT. Also, you get 20 USDT when completing KYC verification. And then when you start futures trading, you get USDT bonuses as well, futures transfers. So you can get a few $100s for free, basically, just for signing up to the platform and KYCing. Also, you can trade on leverage. Even if you don't KYC, you can trade on leverage. I mean, take a look at XRP. Look at this sloping support. It's holding up really well. Like, I kind of drew this as, I don't want to say a joke at one point, but I drew it when we were just past these lines, and I was just explaining something in a video that this is how, like, beginners, you see a couple lines or a couple times where we come down to a certain area, draw the lines in between. I kind of explained that. I think it was in the Patreon. And what do you know? It's held up quite well. So again, if you want to trade this, maybe you want to check out the link underneath the video. Now, let's look at what's happening. Over the last few days, I've been explaining how there's been massive manipulation by Binance back in January. They came out and said, no, it was just a change in like our treasury, how we're holding it. No, last month we were able to see on Wintermute that they were selling. And Marty Party points out again today, I still don't know why there are so many people that like strongly fight for Binance all the time. I'm not trying to have them go down in flames or anything like that. I think that would hurt a lot of people. But also, I'm not going to protect them. I'm just going to say what's happening. Binance update their proof of reserves for February 2025, and now it is proven Binance sold 8 billion of their corporate held crypto since the beginning of 2025. Here's January versus February. As I've been saying, Binance has sold corporate assets all month, and Coinbase has been buying them. They've been using Wintermute. So they sold 4 billion of their corporate treasuries held with Bitcoin. They moved about all of its 3 billion in USDT, sold half of their of its corporate held ETH, sold all of their corporate held Solana. So they dumped a lot on the market, causing the market to fall down. And people are fighting me on that. But we've had so much good news. Obviously, there's been manipulation holding crypto prices down. Crypto prices are actually looking up right now. I mean, let's go back to weeks. By the way, there are links to other exchanges underneath the video too, in case you want to check them out. You can see Bitcoin up at 97.5. Okay, kind of interesting, right? Holding a higher support level. I mean, you can just see it, right? We dipped down, went kind of on the bottom end of the range. I don't want to say like this wick down to 89, but just the bottom end of the range was like 91,000. That was some support there. Now we're seeing some support at 94,000, especially if we can kind of come out of this. And I described in the last video, yeah, CPI came in hot. But all roads lead to Bitcoin, and this kind of points back to the fact that if CPI comes in lower than expected and inflation falls down, great. The Fed's going to lower rates. We're going to go on into a more risk-on environment. People are going to want to invest in higher volatility assets like Bitcoin. When CPI comes in higher than expected, The opposite is true in the short term, but it reinforces why we need Bitcoin. Because the government can go and print money. They can make stupid decisions. They can lie and then revise later. They can swap different products and services in and out to mislead the public. So the fact is, this 3% inflation is probably much higher. Why do we Bitcoin? Because we don't know what governments are going to do. We don't trust governments necessarily to have our best interest at heart. So we want an asset, something that can hold value, right? That is not manipulated. It's set in stone, and that's what Bitcoin is. And you can also transfer it for very cheaply across the world. There are a lot of properties of Bitcoin that I like, but this is one of the main reasons why you might want to hold Bitcoin. Also, you can hold it yourself, and you don't have to trust a third party to hold it or another party to hold it. So yeah, and there are more and more people that are looking at trying to get some allocation to Bitcoin. There are more and more changes politically to make it more favorable to buy Bitcoin. And we've been talking about so many of the good pieces of news on the channel, but it hasn't necessarily reflected in the price yet. But again, that's kind of like when you're at the pool and you're pushing down like a beach ball under the water. You can hold it there. You can probably hold it there for a while, but eventually you're going to let it go and it's going to pop up above the water. Same thing with Bitcoin. Japan's FSA proposes a tax cut on crypto profits from 55% to 20% and allow loss carryover. So in the US, you have this as well. Always consult a tax professional, but as far as I know, it's treated the same way as stocks, right? With capital gains, capital losses. So you can carry some of your losses over year to year. You can carry your losses over. It's taxed at the same rate. Again, not financial advice or anything like that, but 55% profit tax is insane. That's insane. I mean, imagine you buy Bitcoin at $10,000, it goes up to $100,000, or maybe let's say $110,000, right? You buy a Bitcoin at $10,000, it goes up to $110,000. So you made 1,000% profit. After you sell, it's like, 55% of your profits are gone. So it's essentially like you bought Bitcoin at $10,000, and if it was tax free, it's like, doing the quick math, it's like selling it at $55,000. So you get $45,000 worth of profit. 55 goes over to the government. The change of that to 20% is insane. Like that changes how people want to allocate. Also, apparently they're thinking about approving a spot ETF, a spot Bitcoin ETF as well. So that could have some positive effects as well. We're talking about misuse of money and greed. The Department of Defense paid $32,000 to replace 25 coffee cups and hundreds of thousands of dollars for soap dispensers. A 2-year audit by the Defense Department Inspector General found Boeing overcharged the Air Force by 8,000% for soap dispensers that the service branch paid $149,000 over market price for. And keep in mind, we talk about this, it grabs headlines, it makes people pissed off. This amount of money doesn't matter. But if the government, or if Doge, or if the Department of Defense, whoever it is finding these kinds of misuses, misappropriation of funds, greed, how much is covered up? Just a few days ago, Elon said that there's more fraud through Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, these giant government programs, than anything that's ever publicly been reported by any company. And it makes sense. I mean, these are massive amounts of capital that go out every single year. So people are going to want to take just a small fraction. If they can get 0.00001% of that budget, they're rich. So this is why we need Bitcoin, right? And there are people turning to Bitcoin. There are companies and states turning to Bitcoin. SBC Medical Group announces its purchase of Bitcoin. Apparently, they bought about 1 billion yen, which I don't remember off the top of my head how much that is, but okay, it's $6.5 million. So is that going to move up the price of Bitcoin? Not really. But the fact is that $6.5 million worth of Bitcoin that someone else can't buy, or someone's not going to sell, right? They just offset that $6.5 million sell because they're most likely not selling in the future, right? They're the purchaser. They're going to continue to buy Bitcoin just like these other companies. Enough companies do this, and there's massive buying pressure consistently because some of these companies are cash flow positive. States are also looking at buying. A bill to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve in Texas has been refiled by Dr. Schwertner. I've been told by the Lieutenant Governor's office multiple times that this bill is a major priority. I saw a tweet talking about the amount of capital that can go and buy Bitcoin just based on these different states they're filing and how, like, what they're proposing to put into Bitcoin. This could cause about $23 billion worth of buying pressure. Keep in mind too, if there is surplus, they can if they want to, basically, they can continue to buy Bitcoin year after year after year after year. And these are not entities that are very focused on the price. Again, whether Bitcoin's at 80,000, 100,000, 120,000, it doesn't really matter for them. They're trying to hedge themselves long term. They're trying to get votes. And there are a lot of Bitcoiners that will vote for their pocketbooks. Now, at the same time, we're seeing just massive amounts of interest. In the past 12 months, America has paid $1.167 trillion in interest on federal debt. This is more than all the U.S. spending on defense, health, and income security, and only Social Security spending is bigger for 3 years, at which the interest will surpass it. So this has been spiking up recently. It's the red line here, spiking above all these other, defense spending. Social Security is a little bit higher, like I said. Gray is not shown in the legend here, but yeah, this is a big priority. Like, if the Fed could lower rates, they would, because this is destroying our pocketbooks. This is destroying the balance sheet. The national debt is spiking. So again, this is the change in Bitcoin. People are starting to see, even though CPI is higher than expected, long term, this brings more people to Bitcoin. Or at least maybe they're not seeing it yet, but they will get that eventually, right? That's what caused people to get interested in COVID. And then the stimulus is what brought the real money in, right? Now, Ondo, making a huge deal, a big partnership. They're excited to announce a strategic collaboration with World Liberty Fi to advance the adoption of tokenized real-world assets and bring traditional finance on-chain. RLFI is exploring the integration of Ondo's tokenized assets into the WLFI network as treasury reserve assets, including USDY, only available to non-US persons outside the US, and OUSG. They also plan to integrate USDY, OUSG, and tokenized securities from Ondo's upcoming global markets into the WLFI platform, enabling seamless borrowing, lending, and margin trading for eligible users. World Liberty Fi plans to become a strategic collaborator on Ondo's journey to scale Ondo Global Markets, a platform designed to enable the tokenization of traditional assets. Let's look at Ondo after this announcement here today. It's moving up about 4% on a day when the market's flat. Now, Ondo, about a $5 billion market, definitely one of the largest cryptos out there. When you look at it over the last month, just been chopping around a little bit. I'll be honest, though, it looks like it's chopping around. It's up 15% a month, which is a pretty good month when Bitcoin hasn't done much. Over the last year, it's gone up 6x. So basically keeping pace with Bitcoin. If we go back to the top 100, you can see it's 28th. I like to see these kinds of partnerships. I mean, real world assets are going to be big with crypto, and Ondo is the obvious play on that. With a big partnership with World Liberty Fi as well, you'd think, they have some connection to the White House in a way, and this could be really good for them, right? I'm paying attention to what World Liberty Fi is buying because they're probably the most well in the know. I mean, it's the Trump family that owns this. They're the most well in the know about what the government's going to do moving forward, right? They're the ones setting the policy. So what they're buying, who they're working with, is very important. Now, I actually am going to talk about a competitor to Ondo here soon as well, a partner of the channel that's actually pretty interesting. So be on the lookout for that. If you want to check out WEEX underneath the video, like I said, the market just looks interesting. With this kind of coiled spring, I'm excited. Let me know your thoughts, though, underneath the video. Again, if you want to trade, there are those deposit bonuses. Check them out. Check out BTCC, Blofin, BitUniX, CoinW. They all have different bonuses as well. Thank you so much. Check out Patreon as well. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do. I appreciate it. I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.